morning to everyone. My name is 𝗯𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗃𝗃 and here is my partner 𝗯𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. We are here to present our research entitled The Correlation Between Students' Sleeping Habits and Academic Performance of Students. Sleep has a vital role in the human well-being. It can boost people's immune system as well as people's memory. The effects of sleep manifest in both health and the performance of every individual in the student's life. The relationship between sleep and academic performance has been studied in various fields including human science, psychology, education, and such. Meanwhile, there are many factors affecting students' academic performance. These include their motivation, mindset, environment, and habits. Most students are having difficulty focusing on their studies due to lack of rest or sleep. Inside the classroom, in terms of motivation and focusing on their studies, there are students who are not able to present their best performance due to their bad sleeping habits. That is why their performance are degrading. Studies measuring the effect of sleep on academic performance focus mainly on teens, adolescents, and undergraduate students. The researchers seek to find a solution which will improve one's sleeping habits as well as their academic performance. The purpose of this study is to find the correlation between sleeping habits and academic performance of students. Decided to study the relationship between sleeping habits and academic performance of students. These areas of interest came into mind after looking into various fields of research about possible variables that may have an effect to a student's academic performance. After finishing researching some introductory websites about the topic, the researchers chose to focus on two specific objectives. The first objective will look at the effect of sleep deprivation on the student's academic performance. The second objective will determine the importance of sleep to a student's academic performance. To find the information for the objectives of our study, the researchers have formulated interview questions that will answer the objectives of our study. The general objective of our study. The main purpose of this study is to find out the relationship between sleeping habits and academic performance. Specifically, this study aims to determine the effect of sleep deprivation on the student's academic performance and to identify the importance of sleep to the academic performance of the student. Sleep is an indivisible slice of human existence, which is critical in academical performance, as well as physical and mental health. It affects the capacity of individual learning, academic performance, and neurobehavioral function. Sleep deprivation is correlated with significant deterioration in learning. Lack of sleep may bring impact in school performance at several levels. Adolescents typically give effort to pay off their sleep debt during weekends, especially during weekend mornings where they sleep too loud. Since the union of delayed slumber and early school start times develops sleep debt for a large amount of the population of students or adolescents, there is an ongoing debate in public on how to set school starting schedules that would serve benefits to adolescent health. Sleeping habits and duration of sleeping habits are the practiced number of hours of night sleep for a long period of time. These include the time of night sleep and bedroom rest. Sleeping is not only something that feels good, but also something necessary when you are a student. Your habits concerning sleep may be different than before. This may be so for some various reasons, but it is common that students tend to study a great deal before an exam or a deadline for an assignment, and therefore, they might need to work late at night. However, you are not so efficient if you are tired when studying. Both sleep and rest are required in order for your body to be healthy and for your brain to be able to digest what it absorbs. Between 6 to 9 hours of sleep per night is recommended to give the body to recover by 𝗦𝗁𝘂𝗏𝗏𝗂𝐻𝑇𝑟𝑒 University. According to an article in Sleep and Biological Rhythms 2017, sleep deprivation is common among students who live in a culture that promotes reduced sleep due to the burden of academic work and social pursuits. Reasons for poor sleep hygiene include alcohol and caffeine intake, stimulants and technology which prevent students achieving sufficient sleep time and quality. According to the National Sleep Foundation 2015 and World Health Organization, teenagers aging 14 to 17 years old need 8 to 10 hours of sleep, while young adults aging 18 to 25 years old need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Sleep has an important function for learning. Who sleeps badly may develop physical as well as mental symptoms. Insufficient sleep adversely affects the body, brain, mood, and cognitive function. All aspects of health can be impacted by sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation is defined also as not obtaining adequate total sleep. When someone is in a chronic sleep restricted state, they will notice excessive daytime sleepiness, fatigue, sleepiness, and weight gain or weight loss. In addition, being sleep deprived affects both the brain and cognitive. It's likely that you have experienced a night's sleep disturbance, which may be unpleasant, but it is not worse than being without food for a short time. However, if the difficulties reappear during a longer period of time, it is advisable that you contact a person with medical knowledge or counseling. Some good advice for a good night's sleep: plan your time so you need to not spend late night studying. Make sure you have slow downtime in the evening. Stop physical as well as mental activity an hour before going to bed. Try to find a regular 24-hour sleep. Try to have the same rhythm weekdays as well as weekends. Avoid substances that disturb sleep, such as caffeine in various forms, as well as nicotine and alcohol. Regular physical activity during the day or in the early evening may have a positive effect on your sleep. See to it that you are sufficiently satisfied as concerns food. Do not eat right before you go to bed. If you do that, your body cannot relax satisfactorily. See to it that your sleeping environment is satisfactorily arranged. A good bed, pleasant temperature, and sound. If you cannot sleep, do not just stay in bed. Get up and do something until you feel tired. You may also consider using music for relaxation, or just use calm and relaxing music. By 𝗦𝗁𝘂𝗏𝗏𝗂𝗏 University 2019. According to American Sleep Association, sleep describes the cumulative effect of a person having sufficient sleep.
Sleep is an indivisible slice of human health and life. It is crucial to learning practices as well as physical and mental health. Studies have proposed that inadequate sleep, increased recurrence of short-term sleep, and going to sleep late and getting up early affect the learning capacity, academic performance, and neurobehavioral functions. Past studies have stated the quantity of sleep reported by individuals as delayed or inappropriate sleep, waking up too late, especially at weekends and daytime, sleepiness is correlated with compromised academic performance in children and adults. Some studies have emphasized the relationship between delayed starting time of classes and academic success. Reduced overnight sleep or altered sleep patterns has been associated with severe drowsiness and failure in academic success. In a study, people who had enough sleep compared to their sleep-deprived individuals used innovative solutions twice as often when confronted with complex mathematical problems. The chance of academic failure was as long as 1 or more than 1 year in students with inadequate sleep compared to those with proper sleep. People who sleep less and sleep during the day are more prone to vehicle and work accidents. In some studies, sleep efficiency has been considered as essential for recovery, cognitive processing, and memory integration. On the other hand, lack of sleep has been associated with emotional instability and impaired concentration. In this regard, students are particularly at risk of developing sleep disorders, and development of the disorder among them has a negative effect on their academic performance across different grades. However, there is no consensus in this case, and not all studies state that sleep disorders yield a negative effect on academic performance. 𝗂𝗟𝗂𝗂 in 2010 states that the time it takes to fall asleep and waking up affect academic performance more than duration of sleep does. According to 𝗑𝗲𝗏𝗂𝗲 and colleagues in 2010, due to the diversity of the methodology of studies, it is unfeasible to definitely derive a relationship between sleep quality and academic performance, and thus more longitudinal intervention studies are warranted. In another study, the author believes stress from lack of sleep causes poor school performance. On the other hand, in a systematic review, the authors could not establish a cause and effect relationship between sleep quality and academic performance. 𝗬𝗓𝗄𝗏 and colleagues in 2011 states that there is no correlation between sleep quality and academic success. Similarly, it is stated there is no correlation between the night sleep before the exam and test scores either. Our resource speaker was 𝗬𝗲𝗁𝗄𝗏. He is 18 years old, male, from 𝗬𝗯𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗃. He is currently a grade 12 student under Hume's strand. He is attended at the 𝗬𝗲𝗁𝗂𝗃 Institute of Learning through online learning. And for the interview, we prepared 8 questions to our resource speaker. These are the following. What time do you usually sleep? Is it in a regular basis or in the mood? Do you usually have trouble studying due to lack of sleep? Are you having trouble listening to your professor due to lack of sleep? Do you think your sleep cycle affect your grades in some ways? Is your sleeping habits different during school days than your school breaks? What is your opinion about the impacts of sleep deprivation on academic performance of students? And what do you think is usually the reason for students to stay awake late at night? And now, proceeding to the interview proper.
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Charles Francis Lucas, and together with my partner, John Carlos Abenorio, we're going to have an interview with our dear speaker, Mr. Matthew Britannico. Would you please mind to introduce yourself, Mr. Dear Speaker?
Thank you. My name is Matthew Britannico, and I am a grade 12 student at the 𝗬𝗲𝗁𝗂𝗃 Institute of Learning.
Thank you, Mr. Britannico. So, starting off with our first question, what time do you usually sleep?
I usually sleep around 10. It's not too late, it's not too early, and it usually leaves me with enough time to do what I need to get done and sleep at a reasonable time to have a decent amount of rest.
Is it in a regular basis or just in the mood?
It is definitely on a more regular basis. Sometimes I sleep later, sometimes I sleep earlier, but more often than not, I sleep at that time.
Do you usually have trouble in studying due to lack of sleep?
No, not really. I usually have more than enough sleep, so I usually have enough time to review. So I don't think I suffer anything, like any sort of study time or any action concerning sleep.
But what about listening to your teachers? Are you having trouble listening to your professors due to lack of sleep?
No, I don't think so. Mainly for me, if it's trouble listening to teachers, it's due to a poor internet connection, but it's never been because of a lack of sleep or a lack of energy from not sleeping.
Do you think your sleep cycle affect your grades in some ways?
I think it could. It does sometimes when I sleep too late, but normally I don't, so I don't think it really truly affects me in any way.
Is your sleeping habits different during school days than your school breaks?
No, normally I sleep around the same time as my school days and my school breaks, so no, not really.
What is your opinion about the impacts of sleep deprivation on academic performance of students?
I think that sleep deprivation, like anything when you suffer a lack of it, is bad for the students, especially considering that they have to use all their energy in order to learn. If they don't have enough energy due to a lack of sleep, then they won't be able to truly learn the things that they are taught in class, and that is a serious problem.
Okay, so for our last question, what do you think is usually the reason for students to stay awake late at night?
I think that when students stay up late at night, it's usually due to homework and projects, as they tend to go after class and spend time with their family, their loved ones, and then they tend to push these activities later at night when there's not anyone around and when they're mainly alone. And so that's why they stay up late doing these projects, because they want to finish them, but they also want to spend the time they have with their families as it is.
Okay, so that's all of our questions. Thank you, Mr. Dear Speaker, for having your time with us, and I hope that you're doing fine in the midst of this pandemic to your tasks. Thank you so much, Dear Speaker.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me here.
This research aimed to identify the relationship between sleep and academic performance of students. Based on the analysis from the data gathered from the research speaker, it can be concluded that there is no correlation between sleeping habits and academic performance of students. The results indicated that sleep deprivation of students are due to procrastination, which results to the delay of studies as well as sleep. The importance of sleep in the academic performance of students is to adjust the time of their education with their sleep schedule. For the further improvement of the study, the researchers came up to formulate recommendations. First, for the students, it is recommended to use this knowledge to adapt appropriate means to practice proper sleeping habits for better academic performance. Next, for parents, it is recommended to monitor their child's sleeping habits. Third, for teachers, it is recommended to introduce strategies to their students that can address the possible impact of the students' sleeping habits to their academic performance. And lastly, for future researchers, it is recommended to conduct proper survey questionnaires. And that concludes our presentation of our study entitled Correlation Between Students' Sleeping Habits and Academic Performance of Students. And we are your presenters, Charles Brian de la Cruz and John Carlos Ibinori. Thank you for listening and watching our presentation. Do you have any questions? Please don't hesitate to reach for us. Thank you and have a great day.